How lovely to find you here on my screen. I don't know if this picture worked a few moments ago. I want to go there for a moment. The young Ruth Denison, early in her teaching career. Thank you, dear Ruth. We all stand on your shoulders. Another morning occurs. The line of the sun approaches us here in Portland, Oregon at about 900 miles an hour from the east. I don't know if there's any light yet at all. It's in our way of counting time, it's the 15th of January, 2021. So we woke up again this morning. Did you notice the moment of waking? Was it on an in-breath or an out-breath? That was one of the questions my teacher in Rangoon asked me every day of my 6-day time there. An intense few days. So we gather to practice the Dharma, the Buddha Dharma, and I have a poem for us. The drum worked so well yesterday, I'm going to do it again today. I've missed it over these years and months. It's a tar. It's actually a pretty fancy tar. You can adjust the, hello. You can adjust the tension of the skin with these bolts, basically. And it's what's special about the tar is that you use both hands. And I'm not really a very skilled tar player. I have 2 or 3 rhythms that I use to back up the poetry. And of course, we have sat around fires and listened to drumming for as long as we've been humans. So here's a poem from Rumi, 12th century. Little by little, wean yourself. This is the gist of what I have to say. From an embryo whose nourishment comes in the blood, move to an infant drinking milk, to a child on solid food, to a searcher after wisdom, to a hunter of more invisible game. Think of how it is to have a conversation with an embryo. You might say, the world outside is vast and intricate. There are wheat fields and mountain passes and orchards in blossom. At night there are millions of galaxies, and in sunlight, the beauty of friends dancing at a wedding. You ask the embryo why he or she or they stays cooped up in the dark with eyes closed, and listen to the answer. There is no other world. I only know what I've already experienced. You must be hallucinating. Little by little, wean yourself. This is the gist of what I have to say. From an embryo whose nourishment comes in the blood, move to an infant drinking milk, to a child on solid food, to a searcher after wisdom, to a hunter of more invisible game. Think how it is to have a conversation with an embryo. You might say, "The world outside is vast and intricate. There are wheat fields and mountain passes and orchards in blossom. At night there are millions of galaxies, and in sunlight the beauty of friends dancing at a wedding." You ask the embryo why they stays cooped up in the dark with eyes closed. Listen to the answer. There is no other world. I only know what I've already experienced. You must be hallucinating. We rise early. We do whatever our morning rituals are. We find our way to the Dharma Hall. There's not a lot of talking. In fact, it may be silent. There may not even be a lot of direct eye contact, but there is the recognition. Oh, here's my friend. I join my community of practice with one purpose: awakening. And we're supported in this journey with our contemplations of gratitude. Gratitude. Just to wake up another morning. To discover that the eyes are working. To discover that breathing happens. To have clean clothing, dry. It's a different story in those tents that increasingly cover downtown street corners. So there's so much to be grateful for. Ultimately grateful for the Dharma, for the guidance of how to stop hurting ourselves and continuously thrashing around rather than waking up. And we can rest in the refuges. I take refuge in being awake in the Buddha. I take refuge in the way things actually are, and in the exquisite body of teachings that point the way. And I take refuge in the descending lineage, those who have gone before, the community of practice today, and in the community of all beings. And so we find a way to sit comfortably upright. And awareness, this profound mystery of awareness, inhabits this form, this body, Should it happen that my computer crashes, Jim will be at the helm and I'll be back in a minute or so. Help is on the way today at 10. And so, why not abide with bare attention in the aliveness of feet and legs, the contact of the body with the chair, in the fingers and hands, the forearms and elbows and upper arms, the breathing, in the original teachings, the 4 foundations of mindfulness are known as the 4 pastures of abiding. So why not abide in the body? It is nothing but life in our experience. Each breath has its beginning. It has its rising to fullness, its decline, and then its vanishing. The same is true for every thought, . emotions, memories, plans, worries. We can remember those attitudinal phrases that weave together the Dharma practice. I aspire to love and accept myself. I aspire to love and accept this that I take to be myself. Exactly as I am in this moment. It says a lot, exactly as I am. It includes all the vagaries of the personality, all the pleasures, all the pains, the confidence and the doubt, and whenever I'm hurting, whenever I'm suffering, struggling, I aspire to hold myself in sweet, kind, generous compassion. It's very simple, isn't it? Coming home to breathing, or perhaps allowing awareness to suffuse the entire body. To rest back into the aliveness of this body. as it breathes in and out. Awake and aware to everything that happens. Each breath appears out of nowhere. It doesn't exist, and then it does. We practice being present. And in this quest, this relaxing back into the moment in which we are, the fact of falling into trance states, of being seduced into trance states, becomes more and more obvious. Just as each breath comes out of nowhere, so does each wandering mind. And we can notice with these wandering minds, sometimes they're very convincing. Sometimes they lead us to do rather insane and self-destructive things. But when you awaken from one of these intense wanderings, you might actually or metaphorically ask yourself, is this trance who I am? Am I this worrying, this planning, this constant desiring, wanting, grasping? Is this disliking? Is this depression? Me? Is it even mine? As we have the intention to come home to breathing, not so that we can live our lives focused on the breathing all the time, but to develop this mysterious ability to be awake. remembering that we climb into the breath as you might a hammock. Breathing in and breathing out. Our portals on the world are vision, eyes, ears and sound, hearing, nose and scent, smell, tongue and taste, body and feeling, sensations, mind and mind objects, thoughts, emotions, moods, the 7 enlightenment factors. I invite you now to turn awareness to hearing. Notice how this voice comes episodically out of no-thingness. And there might be other sounds. Hearing. Hearing and knowing it. And I plan to close our sitting today with playing a song, if everything works, to just let flow over and through you and hear. Be aware of hearing. Jim, would you indicate to me if it's coming through? Just with a thumbs up or down. It's good. home in the body. I have no enemies. I aspire to love and accept myself exactly as I am in this moment. When I'm hurting, no matter how I'm hurting, physically, emotionally, existentially, it is my intention to hold myself in sweet compassion. When I encounter others who are acting unskillfully, rooted in greed, hatred, and ignorance, I aspire to hold them also in sweet compassion. The practice of I have no enemies. And so coming home to the body, the one of a kind ever in the entire universe body, the one you're responsible to. Noticing the life in the hands and arms and neck and jaw and lips and nose and eyes. And then letting the eyes respond to the command from the intention to open, and then let them open. And they're seeing. Seeing. And we can see with the eyes of blessing. That's the Avett Brothers sang that song. I was at a concert, live concert with them, with Jennifer, the first time I ever heard that. As usual, we were standing at the front. And I found myself just weeping. And we held each other, the preciousness of the moment. So I put in the chat already several links. One is to my class that starts next Wednesday night, the 4 Foundations of Mindfulness. There's one for Doug Pullen's class that starts the next day, the Basics of Mindfulness. Wonderful way to establish a practice. And there's Jim's Qigong, which is the Saturday. And the opportunity, the invitation to support PIMC financially, to practice the open-handed gesture. So, with that, I yield the floor. The gentle lady from somewhere has, it's an interesting arcane way they do it, isn't it? I yield 30 seconds to whoever wants it. Or needs it. Jim, would you say something just so I know my sound is working at this end?
Testing. 1, 2,
Thank
3.
you, sir.
Robert, it's Catherine.
Hello, Catherine.
I don't really. I just have a small comment, a sort of a big comment, but I that song just my mom is in the process of dying, and she doesn't she doesn't really want to acknowledge it so much. She'd rather not be present with it like that, and but there's just, even when you don't want to know that you're dying, it takes enormous courage uh, to go through the process. And it's funny because it's a process we all have to go through, but there's just so much every day that goes away. And that song really, I don't know, just really stuck out to me, how courageous it takes to die, whether, yeah, even if you don't want to be awake to what that is.
Maybe especially.
Maybe especially, yeah.
It makes it so difficult.
It's really hard. Yeah. And yeah.
When my mom was dying, she had a stroke and then lived in a nursing home for 7 years almost. It was grim.
Yeah.
And I was actually working in hospice and teaching death and dying classes and supporting people in their grieving, and we never had a conversation about her death. And
right.
if I would bring it up, she had one hand that worked, and she would go like this. Not that. And though at the very end, when she got pneumonia again, and they said, Eleanor, here's the pills, here's the antibiotics. If you take this pill, you will probably survive. And they said they heard her teeth snap shut across the room. Like, nope. So in the end, she did stop. But I guess that's why we practice, huh? I mean,
yeah.
To live well and to die well, and to practice the daily relinquishments, the letting go, because we do let it all go ultimately.
I think right now, that's kind of the gift I see in her dying process, is that I get to see it. And so I get to kind of think about how I'd like my own death to go.
You betcha.
Yeah. And I don't judge her for what I really understand. I really know where she's come.
Uh-oh. Hello there. My computer just froze. I'm on my backup computer. Can you hear me, Catherine? You can. I can't. Now, let's see about that. Hello. Oh, hang on. It's in my headset. Hello. Can you hear me, Cat? Oh, it's working. Yay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, there. I didn't have to disappear completely. How funny. Oh, my. Thank you for sharing that. And have you read Stephen Levine's Who Dies? Stephen Levine, Levine, and he He's really one of my lifetime heroes. He and his wife Andrea worked with dying people for 25 years or so. They were available about 24 hours a day for years. It was quite remarkable. But anyway, he wrote a bunch of books. One of them that it's what I carried on the red eye to my mother's stroke and to my father's death, and I love that book. It's very helpful. Who dies? Hmm. Hmm. Hi, Kate. Wow. Hmm. That's very touching. So did you say you're in Nashville? Ha. Huh. Ha. I'm you're not on the screen, but I'm bowing to you. Great, great. Oh, there you are. Hey, I see. Hi, nice to meet you. Huh. Oh, that's a good. Well, yeah. Why not? Yes, I'll put that together. Avi keeps reminding me, are we going to put are we going to create the annual events? And I've been putting it off, but yeah, we should. I've done for many years. I've been doing a remembering death retreat, and yes, I will get that on the calendar and let you know. It'll be a day long, and yeah, let's not wait for that though. Let's remember we're here for a short time. There's another extraordinary book for waking up in the face of death. It's called The Five Invitations. The Five Invitations by Frank Ostaseski. I'm laughing because just before my book, Mindfulness for a Happy Life, just before it went to the publisher, I was given, or I finally read Frank's book. And I read that and I thought, I might as well not even publish mine. This says it all so beautifully. And he is a gorgeous human being. He's been through a lot. He's had a heart attack and a stroke, and he keeps ticking. Beautiful man. The book is The Five Invitations. The subtitle is about using using the reality of death to live more fully, something like that. What a cute little dog, Brian. Nacho. I see. My wife Jennifer has a particular fondness for little dogs like that. When Budo goes, I think there's one of those in our future. Goodbye, Jim. Thanks for being here this morning. Hello, Brian.
Nacho and I did have a quick question. It was a couple of days ago, Robert, you asked a question. Somewhere along the line, you came to a clarity or different understanding of the Brahma Viharas in your practice.
Mm.
And
Leaning on my memory is perhaps not the most secure thing to lean on. However, I do remember what you're referring to. For most of my life in the Dharma, I've understood that from the old way of looking at it, that with the Brahma Viharas, which translates as the abode of the gods, which are the four truly wholesome affective states, and bigger than that even, which are metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha, which are loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity, that these are cultivable states that we can actually cultivate and become more loving. We can create an attitude of loving kindness that then suffuses our life and changes our relationships. And there are various ways of practicing that. Among them, visualizations and the very classic one, which is the recitation of phrases. May I be happy. May all beings be happy. May I be free from fear and danger. May all beings be free from fear and danger. May I live with ease and grace. May I be free from suffering. And in sympathetic joy or delight, may I delight in the happiness and success of these moments, and may they grow and continue. May the same for you be for you. And then the equanimity practice, all beings are the recipients of their own karma, not by my wishing or doing do people have their life experiences. So these are very wholesome attitudes. And one way to look at them is, I'm going to plant these seeds and make them happen. I'm going to grow this crop. Another way is the realization that when the greed, hatred, and ignorance, which are the roots of our suffering, as those diminish, what's revealed is our true nature, which is loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. That we don't have to make it happen, because we are one consciousness. As we stop doing that which creates the separateness, then what's revealed is, well, I have a chocolate bar and you're hungry. Well, of course we share it. It's not like I'm going to be generous. It's ours. Is that making sense? It's a bit awkward for those of us that have a Christian Catholic background, because it's the opposite of original sin. In Matthew Fox's words, it's original blessing that our I touched something emotional. Imagine if our nature is to be loving. Now, of course, we're so woundable, and we come in so unfinished, and we're so dependent on our caregivers and on the matrix of ideas and brainwashing that we encounter as we create a self. And so our true loving nature can get pretty buried under trauma. But I am myself a poster child for the fact that one's life can become more loving and compassionate, and self-hatred can fade away. And I've seen hundreds of people. I've been so privileged to see hundreds of people have their own self-hatred and other hatred fade away and become more and more loving. There's no descriptors. This is a revolutionary practice. The true revolution, the inner revolution of consciousness. Sure, a lot of microphones around here. Hello, Anna. I can hear you just fine. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. 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 Wonderful. Isn't it, isn't it remarkable that we can be in a constricted state and then mindfulness is not that. It can know that, and simply in the knowing of the constriction, something else can happen. It's so cool. Right? Mm. Beautiful. And just because my mind does this, this is a third foundation of mindfulness practice. It's a mindfulness of mind. Very useful. It's funny that has set off a pattern, a familiar pattern. A story I've told many times in teaching, a moment in my life on that first 2 month meditation retreat I did. I hitchhiked to California with my girlfriend, and we were sort of separating. And she hitchhiked to Wyoming, where I knew she was meeting another fellow, and I was freaked out. And on this retreat, I started out very depressed and freaked out, and then I started having some periods of clarity. And there was a moment, an amazing moment, when I was doing walking meditation, and as one foot left the ground, there was this memory of this fantasy of her in Wyoming with another guy, and I felt the familiar anxiety and terror and depression and darkness and kind of like the end of the world experience come up, and as my foot rose, that reality blossomed in my mind, and then somehow or another, by the time the foot reached the top and was starting to descend, it was so obvious that it was a fantasy, that it was mind rather than reality. And by the time my foot touched the ground, it was gone, and I was there. And it was really a huge moment of transformation. It doesn't mean my mind, this thing, didn't go through that pattern hundreds more times. But it was the first time that the lights really came on, and I realized, whoa, that's a trance. That's not me. That's a pattern. And so sometimes those experiences are kind of earth-shaking like that, and other times they're much more mundane. There was another experience on that same retreat where I was walking in the backyard of the retreat center, which was just just a typical house in Santa Cruz at that point. And I stopped, and there was a beautiful rose, a beautiful scented red rose, and I was just breathing in the scent, and I had nothing else to do. So as I was enjoying the rose, it suddenly became clear. I mean, indelibly and unavoidably clear, that I was not actually experiencing the smell of that rose for, quote, myself. I was actually doing that in order to create a poem that I would then send to my mother, who was at home, very lonely, very sad that I wasn't there. And this is my mother, to whom I wrote 60-page letters from Australia when I was traveling. Profound codependent fusion and a responsibility for her happiness, which actually as a pattern persisted till she died. It's probably still there. But what a breakthrough that day when I realized I'm writing a poem to send my mom. So this is powerful. Waking up, setting ourselves free. Imagine that there was a person who for a long time was alive and played the role of my mother. Twenty after 8. Anybody else have anything you'd like to share? In this funny perspective, I can see that I sit. I think the lines on the wall are straight up and down, but I tend to lean to one side. There, I'm now corrected. Well, shall we part with a song? I am very grateful to have had this time with you this morning. Speaking of contracted and expanded, Anna, I'm always more expanded after being together. There's a sense of, oh, really it's not just me alone struggling my way through life. There really is company of the highest order, we don't have to do it alone. So let's sing that little song. May all beings receive all blessings, the highest blessings. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. 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 Sadhu, sadhu, sad Goodbye, dear friends. Happy trails. Don't forget your masks. A great pleasure. Thanks, Francine. Nice to see you. Uh-huh. Thank goodness for Zoom. Without this would have been a really difficult time. Boy, oh boy. Yeah. All right, loved ones. See you soon. See you Sunday or Monday. Well, here we go. This is... that's interesting. And morning. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Goodbye, dear friends on Facebook and YouTube. Have a lovely day. Remember your masks. Don't get